Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the greatest YouTube channel on Earth. So you've heard it before, The Suicide Squad, one of, if not the best superhero movie out this year. You know how this film is so ridiculously fresh and engaging, how much freedom Gunn had to direct the kind of film he wanted. How fucking awesome the look of the film is, the directing, the editing, the effects. We know The Suicide Squad is a game changer for DC films, it's probably one of their best DCEU films ever. But behind all that spectacle, gore, foul-mouthed, ultra-violent violence is character. And the best part about this film is how it makes us care about these terrible people and how it takes us on a journey with them and makes us empathize. I left the theater going, wow, I'm gonna miss Rick Flag, wow, I love Ratcatcher too. And Bloodsport, I didn't even know that was a character that existed, and now he's a GOAT and I want solo movies for him. The film is able to get C-list, D-list DC Comics characters with the exception of a notable few and make them household names. And it does so with such ease, similar to Gunn's work with the Guardians films. Like everyone knows who Rocket Raccoon is now, right? But also because so many of these characters are C-list, D-list, it feels like they can actually die. Compared to the original Suicide Squad, which was filled with characters they obviously can't kill, like Deadshot, Katana, and that's why characters like Slipknot stand out so much. There's obviously characters that are gonna die, and then there's characters that are gonna live. And in this film, the only character that I felt was ultimately safe for the entire film is Harley Quinn. And you might be thinking, oh, just Harley Quinn? What about like Ratcatcher 2, Bloodsport? But that's not true. James Gunn confirmed that there's a version of the script where Ratcatcher 2 dies. And I think in that version, Polka Dot Man lives, and then they switched it out at the end. And look, maybe it sounds like I'm praising this film and thinking it's a masterpiece, maybe it sounds like I'm saying it's one of the greatest films of all time, oh man, this movie's a masterpiece, it saved my house from burning, it made me ascend to the fourth dimension. But no, I still prefer other superhero movies, but that doesn't mean this film isn't fantastic in its own right. This film is like Super met Guardians of the Galaxy. It's this super violent, gritty film, but with this group team element where flawed people come together to save the day. It really does feel like Guardians on steroids. But again, just because the film gets nuts, that doesn't mean it doesn't have heart. Characters getting through trauma is at the heart of the story, and a lot of Gunn's films have that as its main theme. And this film, in a way, is about heart. It's about what it means to care, what it means to be vulnerable. One of the best things about Guardians of the Galaxy is how it took all these flawed characters and made them into heroes. How they were able to recognize each other's weaknesses and despite that come together. And that also happens in the Suicide Squad. The only thing is that a lot of these characters are murderers with a lot of baggage. Bloodsport kills for money, he shot at Superman. Peacemaker kills to defend his flawed ideals. King Shark literally eats people. It could easily become difficult to make us empathize. Like in the Flash show, King Shark is just this big brute who's absolutely and totally ripped. Like, dude, give me some of that physique, dude. But then in this film, this King Shark is a complete 180 from that. It's a troubled individual who has no friends. The film is able to make us recognize that despite how terrible people can be, they're still humans at the end of the day, which is actually kind of frightening. Like, even one of the most despicable characters in the film, Silvio Luna, is given this really happy, joyous sequence where he falls in love with Harley Quinn. Yeah, the dude that was totally cool with executing kids is given background, personality, and even a hobby. But let's start from the beginning. The film begins with a massive action sequence where a ton of characters are killed off in no time flat. Personally, I would have liked to have kept some of these characters and killed them off one by one as the story went along, but ultimately it serves to show how dangerous the Suicide Squad is. And it's not like you didn't spend any time with these characters, you get to know them, they have personalities, and their banter makes you care. So when they eventually die, horrifically, might I add, a part of you does feel bad. Even Weasel, like his death is absolutely hilarious, but damn, these dudes just die. Huh. No one in this film is immortal, with the exception of Harley Quinn, of course. And you genuinely feel that. You feel as if anyone could die at any second, and that added trait, that inevitable human characteristic, death, makes every character feel that much more sincere. And the film doesn't just play with death, these characters all have baggage, all different kinds of baggage, but baggage nonetheless. And they're haunted by their traumas, some of them don't even realize it. Bloodsport is this hard-ass dude who's been taught from a young age to be ruthless, but in his heart, he's not really that. He pushes his daughter away because he knows how terrible he is. And even though he curses her out, it's not like he's just gonna be okay with her getting hurt, and that's why he joins the Suicide Squad. And his vulnerable side is brought forth thanks to Ratcatcher 2.
Why are you so afraid of rats?
You know what I think?
I think you have a serious case of daddy issues.
One of the best things about this film, and one of those things that's only possible really with an R rating, is showing not only how evil and cruel humanity can be, but also how beautiful. The contrast between these two opposing forces can be increased, and Gunn is an expert at crafting compelling human drama in the middle of these intense stories. I think the bus scene is one of the best scenes in the film. The scene's purpose is to have these characters expose their vulnerable sides. And this is the first time in the film where we see Bloodsport show an emotion that isn't anger.
My old man, one day he just locked me in a crate for 24 hours, and it was full of starving rats.
It's a tale of this hyper-masculine guy who has those values of hyper-masculinity. One might even say toxic masculinity. And he learns how to be a better person through being more vulnerable and embracing those parts of himself.
I'm gonna get you out of here alive.
I'm going to get you out of here alive.
And little by little, as the story goes on, Bloodsport is allowing himself to trust other people. He allows himself to trust Ratcatcher too. So much so that he's willing to kill Peacemaker even though he has no idea what is happening or the context behind this entire scene. He trusts her that much. And yeah, while Bloodsport is the main character of the film, Ratcatcher 2 Cleo Cazo is the heart of it. She's a pure soul which is only in prison because of circumstance, and her ability is to talk to rats. And throughout the whole film, rats are treated like they're gross, they're just nasty and odd, you know? But at the end of the day, these rats are what save not only our heroes, but the world. And as this happens, we get this flashback to Cleo's past with her father, where he tells her that rats are the lowliest and most despised of all creatures, but if these rats have purpose, then we all do. And this is where it's gonna sound crazy, alright? But hear me out for a second. This is maybe I've been taking too many Red Bulls, I have no idea. The rats kind of symbolize our protagonists. These people who are despised and are used for whatever necessary. The Suicide Squad are kind of like rats themselves. And as the film goes on, Bloodsport becomes willing to trust the Suicide Squad, to trust Cleo, to trust rats. He opens up to these creatures and is one step closer to becoming a better human being. Same thing with King Shark, a terrifying monster that kills people, but even this monster has a soul. He does all these terrible things because that's what he knows. He's never been shown affection. He's never had friends. And the Suicide Squad gives him that.
I know friends.
Then can we be your friends?
You know, this film just feels like a much better version of the WB Concoction Suicide Squad of 2016. Because even that film had a sequence where El Diablo kills himself and he's like, I'm gonna die for my family or something like that. And it's like, bro, who are you? You don't know any of these people. It doesn't feel earned at all. But in this film, it does, because again, you sit with these characters and you're able to empathize with their situations, with their emotions. You're able to empathize with Polka Dot Man's trauma. The way he sees his mom everywhere is both hilarious and terrifying. The way Harley Quinn has just been abused by men for so long, but she does have one friend, Rick Flag, who cares about her enough to save her. The film is able to show us the worst in people, but also show us their best. How Peacemaker, yeah, a horrible person, but he's dancing. Look at him dancing, bruh. This movie is making me feel so conflicted. And did he actually want to kill Rick Flag? I don't know, maybe? Victims of circumstance can become evil, and I think the film doubles down on this concept when it decides to not just make Starro this big dumb monster. It actually went through constant experimentation and manipulation, and once it frees itself from its captor, you're genuinely like, fuck yeah, Thinker got what he deserved. But of course, it starts rampaging through Corto Maltese, and of course, at that rate, it has to be stopped. But once it is stopped, it doesn't go like, I hate you, Suicide Squad, or I will come back, or I have a son, Jarro, and he will get his revenge. He simply goes,
I was happy, floating, staring at the stars.
Fuck, dude, what? You're telling me that this goofy Patrick Star looking ass dude has more character than most characters in the first Suicide Squad? Holy shit, dude.
This is Katana. She's got my back.
Nearly all the characters in this film are fully realized people with goals and desires, and we don't want them to die. And again, the opening scene establishes that anyone can die, anything can happen. And man, this movie made me care about Rick Flag. Who even was he in the first movie?
the characters could really die at any time. That actually makes it more fun to write as a writer. And I could change my mind at any time and do a different keystroke and all of a sudden somebody's dead. I'm Amanda Waller, man.
God, that's satisfying. The Suicide Squad banding together, finally becoming a team for the right reasons, is such a magnificent moment compared to the extremely lackluster execution of WB's Suicide Squad. It's this wonderful tale of renewed confidence in humanity and how we all have purpose. And boy, the next DC film is The Batman, right? On God, they dropped Zack Snyder's Justice League, this film, and now The Batman next? Bruh, 3 bangers back to back? We love to see it. Thanks so much for watching the video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to become a part of the Chad Nation. Don't worry, you will not have a starfish attached to your face. That does not happen. We're all cool here. Thanks so much, Mo954, for this awesome Kayleen fan art from Interstellar Ranger Commence. It looks dope, and IRC is a series I'm making. Make sure to check it out in the link in the description. And make sure to cop some Brown Table merch as well. We have some Brown Table merch and some IRC merch. It's all merch going on. And thank you so much, patrons, for helping me. I really do appreciate it so much. It helps me survive a lot longer than I should be surviving, so thank you so much. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for coming to the table, and I'll see you all next time.